Good evening, everybody. Here we are, Friday evening. I can't believe how quickly this week is just flying by. Thank you for joining us this evening. It's if you're in the UK, not everybody is, and Justine certainly isn't, but as you can see, it's daylight where she is. But if you're here, then it's a very blustery, cold and horrible evening here. And I'm not actually at home. Have you noticed that the backdrop's different? I'm in a hotel room because I'm at a Christmas do tonight. And while everybody else downstairs is drinking and eating the lovely food, I'm up here talking to you guys. So there's a little bit of a mark of dedication for you. So I want to welcome Justine to the group this evening. She's come in to talk to us about her specialism, which is dealing with families, children and dogs, which you might think, why is that relevant to breeders? And actually it's very relevant to us, isn't it, when you think about it, because a lot of the time we are selling puppies into homes where there are children. And it's really important that our puppies are set up to deal with that as part of their life, and B, that when things do start to break down a little bit, as inevitably they will, because never work with children or animals, is that you're putting the two things together. We need as breeders to be able to offer support and constructive advice so that our puppies and their the security in their homes is not put at risk because we can't step in and give advice. So I would like to welcome Justine, because she's the expert on this. So welcome. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. It looks amazing what you've been doing this week, Rebecca. Really, really incredible, groundbreaking stuff. Congratulations.
Thank you. We've had an awesome week and everybody's been super. It's all been received really, really well. And yeah, we're not done yet. I don't want it just because it's the end of the week. Mentally, people start to feel like they're gonna, just sort of wind down. But we're not done. It's Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night. So it's great, and everybody's been great. The breeders in the group have just been so engaging, and it's just been wonderful.
And even after the week's over, you got to still keep all the impetus up. You got to keep going because it's such important information.
It is. And I think for me, you're a dog trainer, you're not a breeder, but for me, part of the shift in awareness that I would like to see created, not only, we were talking last night about how breeders are viewed by vets, how breeders are viewed by trainers is also a really important element to this, because as I'm a breeder and a trainer, so I kind of get to see both sides. Quite often, when you're in a training capacity, you're getting called in when the problem started. You get the phone call, my dog's doing this, can you help me with it? And so you are responding to an issue, which means that your perception of how things are going, why isn't the breeder helping out with this little puppy that they've sold and cashed in on, and now it's having problems and they're not there to support? So
it's always harder, and you're right, it's always harder to deal with something when you're doing it reactively, because you're given a situation to deal with. But you said something at the beginning of this where you were saying, let's, as breeders, let's see if we can equip our puppies and prep our puppies to go into a home with children, which is marvelous if you can do that. And I would say on the flip side, let's send out the message to families, let's prep our home, our mind and our children to deal with the puppy coming in. Because you're right, if trainers often get the call, hey, it's all, the crap's all hit the fan, help me, what am I going to do? But it's like, I always think of it as like it's like a ball of wool. It's like it's all tangled when we get there, or that necklace that you've been working, trying to untangle. You've got to untangle all that mess, and then you've got to knit the jumper. Like it's much harder to do that than to just take the lovely ball of wool that comes straight out the shop and you can just take the label off and get going. So I really love to say to families, listen, if you're going to do this, great, do it, but get your mind like totally in the right spot for having a puppy and what that means, and set realistic expectations for what it's going to look like, because we've been set up a bit of a lie from film and television. It's all going to be magical, and the dog's going to come in and lick away the tears of the crying kid, and be there when they lost lost the game and all that kind of stuff. But it's not, I mean, we know that's not reality.
No,
it's just
not life.
No.
And you know, from a breeder's point of view, putting my breeder hat on, you know, we have people that walk through the door and they say things like, you know, we want to buy a dog for the child.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, that's quite a big statement. You know, children shouldn't be responsible for, you know, not depending on their age, obviously, and the circumstances, but you know, that's quite a dodgy position to be putting a child in, never mind a puppy. And
100%.
It's not appropriate, is it? You're welcoming a dog into the family. You're not buying it for the child.
Well, I think you could reframe the thought, because I get what parents are saying, right? They really, at the core of that, they're saying, I want my child to grow up with the experience of having a dog in the home. The same way they might say, if they had a child already, I want my child to have a sibling. I want my kid to grow up with another sibling in the house and have that experience.
And they say things like, we want them to have some responsibility. They want to learn to take some responsibility. That's that's what people say to us as breeders. And you're like,
but yes, I totally understand that. And I think that, again, I can see both sides of this, because as a breeder, you're taking this like cute little innocent bundle of fur and you're putting it into a family, and then you've got all these, you know, visualizations of a family just letting a 4-year-old kid take care of it, which you'd never allow your 4-year-old child to take care of a baby. So with my clients, what I always say is like, imagine that your puppy is a toddler or a baby, and that is the amount of what you would teach your existing child to do and how to act around your new baby is exactly what you would want to do with your puppy. So there are certain things they can help out with. There's loads of great things that kids can help out with. But at the end of the day, if the parents don't actually want to take the responsibility for the baby or for the puppy, then it's probably not a good idea for them to do it, I would say.
Completely. So, and the pressure on the child to, you know, take care of this puppy, they're never gonna step up. It's not gonna happen. It's not real. It's not real. And then you have a whole load of resentment around, we bought you this puppy and you're not dealing with it or doing it, or you know, and then, you know, you've got the puppy in jeopardy. And that's, you know, that's, we're talking about it, but that's only one element of it. But it is something that we get, and I think it goes back to what we were speaking about before we came on live, about how this expectation setting around having the dog at home with the children. I mean, you know, we already need to set expectations around the dog's going to wee on the floor, you know, the dog's going to eat your trainers, the dog's going to keep you awake at night. You know, as breeders, we need to be setting that level of expectation anyway. So take that as setting expectations around children. You know, what would be your takeaways on that? Because obviously it's what you deal with, you know?
Well, I think realistic expectations about how much kids are actually going to do work-wise, they're not going to do very much. That's just the reality. But they are going to want to interact with that dog from day one. And if you get a puppy, I mean, we're talking specifically about breeders here, so we're talking about puppies. Puppies obviously come with these crazy sharp teeth. And I think that that's something that people don't think about. They really hurt. They don't have any bite inhibition at the beginning when they, you know, they first arrive, maybe at 8 weeks. Their teeth can really, really hurt. And on soft, really sensitive kids' skin, it can be quite scary for kids. So one of the first things I like to do is to tell parents, like, they don't need to be together all of the time. They don't need to be living in each other's pockets. And you really want to set up the time they do spend together doing really fun stuff that's fun for both of them, not just fun for the kid and not fun for the dog, or not just fun for the dog and really not fun for the kid. They've both got to enjoy games. So, you know, we've talked about this in the past, and I just got a puppy myself 3 weeks ago. And so, and I was kind of looking at what I was doing instinctively. And the first thing that I want to do is play with my dog, and play in a way that I like and he likes, and that he's learning a little bit, you know, like to maybe follow a toy or follow me around with the toy, bring the toy back to me, you know, not bite my hands when I'm having my hands near the toy. So simple games that kids can play. And I have a bunch of them that are great ways of making kids be relevant to puppies. Because most of the time, honestly, if the kids aren't doing anything fun, they could be a chair in the family. Like the dog doesn't even notice that they exist. So you want to make them like, oh my gosh, you know, Tommy's in the room. That means something fun's going to happen. Yes, sure, it's my birthday. So if they can play games and stuff together that everybody likes, that is an instant win for me. Because also kids will mess up. They'll do things wrong in the same way that puppies do things that we don't always love. And what that does is if they already start to form this relationship where the dog actually really likes hanging out with them, then they get this like social currency. I like you, I trust you, you normally do good things, you know, with me. So if you happen to trip over me or step on me or do something I don't really love, I'm going to give you a bit of license to kind of get a couple of things wrong, because that's not normally what you do. So that's really important to me as well, that they have that kind of relationship set up. And then little jobs around the house they can do, you know, fill up the water bowl or measure out the food or stuff Kongs or, you know, really fun little kid activities.
What about going back to the nipping and the biting? One of the first things that we get contacted around, you know, if indeed we do get contacted, but you know, one of the first things that generally tends to happen is this puppy is biting and nipping. Have you got a, you know, is there a go-to exercise or a tip that you can give breeders to give their owners so that they're managing that situation?
Yeah, that's a brilliant question. I have a couple of things to say about that, actually. So one of the things, first of all, I want to talk about great toys that you can play with for kids and dogs. And then the second thing, just remind me because I know I'm going to forget, is what makes puppies so bitey. Okay, so what's going to set that off? So the first thing is the toys. I love long toys, or toys on a pole, like the flirt pole. If you haven't seen it before, it's like a little cat toy. In fact, it's a big cat toy. It's a dog version of a cat toy that's like the fishing rod with the toy on the end. And the reason I love that so much is, imagine the distance you can get from the bitey mouth of the puppy and the sensitive kid hands. So kids can run around and drag it behind them, and then the puppy can jump on that. And that's so fun and instinctive for the dog to do, and really safe for the kid. Really safe.
So let me just interject here, because there will be breeders in the group who would say to just stop the dog from biting and stop the dog from chasing. And actually the more modern school of thought around those kind of behaviors is that puppies do need to express those behaviors. So if you're advising your owners to just, you know, tell the dog no, you know, get the dog down, don't let the dog do that, no puppy, if that's the response you're going to give your dog, you're going to end up with a frustrated puppy. So what we need to be encouraging people to do is to allow the puppy to express those behaviors, but in a way, like Justine is saying, that the puppy's doing it, but it's doing it 3 foot away, 4 foot away. It's not doing it near children's hands. So that's,
they can't stop themselves. It's really hard. It's like saying, you know, like if a kid really loves painting or art or whatever, you want to teach them to paint on paper, not on the walls. But if you just take painting away, it's gonna come out sideways somehow. That's what it always does with dogs. It will come out sideways and you won't like it. So you're best to allow that freedom to bite, chew, do all of those things that they do in a really nice controlled environment that works for you and your family. So the flirt pole's really nice, the chasing, but then, you know, as they get a little bit bigger, you teach them to release it, drop a couple of toys on the floor, different toys, or you can drop treats on the floor, give that back, and then we play again. You can even just tie any toy that they have. Like I have this is like a ball that I've stuffed with, it's like an open ball that I've stuffed with different toys, but I would tie this to another piece of fabric and pull this along and let him chase it and, you know, play with that as well. So
tell us what is it you wanted me to remind you about, what makes them bitey, what's the deal?
So 3 things that I think that you might want to just check in with if you're getting a really bitey puppy. An undertired puppy. So a puppy that's not really had any ability to have an outlet like that, biting, chewing, running, chasing, doing dog stuff, sniffing, whatever really floats their boat. So that needs to be, their bucket needs to be filled with things that they want to do. Number 2 is an overtired puppy. So a puppy that's not had the ability to really nap. I mean, they really clearly need 2 solid naps in the day. Solid. Like a baby, you know, they eat, they wake up, they play, they nap for 2 hours. They eat, they wake up, they play, they nap. And
repeat, wash, rinse,
exactly,
repeat.
exactly. And if you can put them in their crate and just be like, sorry, this is the time, or their pen, or whatever you want to do. Even, you know, I even tether my dog. You just enforce that nap time. And then when they wake up, then they're in a much better mood than just being like overtired, cranky, bothered. You know, kids putting their fingers in the crates or disturbing them when they finally got to sleep. That definitely can set them off, being like, get off me, get off me. And then the last thing is inappropriate play. So if you roughhouse with a dog and you start pushing them off and chasing them and like running and pulling your clothes away like kids tend to do, they'll jump up and they'll snatch and grab, or they get, like children do, overexcited, and they can't regulate, they can't self-regulate and calm themselves down. So
and then for me, they then feel like the children become the plaything. If the kids are playing with the dog like that, the level of expectation in the puppy is, ooh, you're fun, I'm going to nail you the minute you walk through the door.
Exactly.
Because they are instigating that type of play, because they contextually believe that the children are going to roll around on the floor with them. So
exactly, which is what you do with a toy to try and make a dog play with it. You would make it fun and run around, which is what the kids are doing naturally. So
awesome. And the other the thing that I really wanted to pick your brains on is around resource guarding, because it kind of goes hand in hand. You know, you've got this picture of, you know, child sitting on the floor in the front room with a packet of crisps, something high value to the child. Because it's high value to the child, it's high value to the dog. You know, puppy comes in, nicks the packet of crisps and runs off with it. Child goes over to get the crisps back, and the puppy growls or worse, bites at the child.
Yeah,
you know, it's a common thing. It happens often. Children don't read the body language. You know, and it might not necessarily even be around food. It might be around a pair of socks. You know, it could be around anything. You know, as you know, it could be around anything. But you know, that kind of what owners perceive as aggression. This puppy's been aggressive. It's not aggression. And you know, I'd like to talk around that subject a little bit, really, about how you feel about that and how you would be dealing with that.
Yeah. Oh my God, there's so many thoughts. So I'll try and stay on track, but reel me back in if I go down a rabbit hole. So the first thing is that resource guarding, as we like to call it in the training world, growling about things or taking things and keeping them for yourself, is a really natural behavior. It is to dogs as it is to kids. We have to teach kids to share. When they get their best Christmas present, they love it so much. They're like, okay, give that to your friend. They're like, absolutely not. I just got this bike. I'm not sharing it with my friend. No, this is mine. I'm keeping it, and don't you try and take it away. So we already have that natural sort of capability, right? So typically what ends up starting out, I see personally, is that puppies don't come immediately growling about things. They might be ignored during the day or not get as much attention as they might like. They pick up something that gets your attention, the socks, the packet of crisps, they grab it and you go, oh my God, and woof, you're up chasing the dog. Perfect. The dog's like, yes, finally you've noticed who I am, you're going to come and play with me. So you go chasing after the dog, and it's a great game. So that's how this beginning part happens, is like, it's a game of chase, I've got you to notice me, bingo. But then what ends up happening is that they realize maybe that it's something that they do really like. And then every time you get to them, you prise their mouth open and you take said thing out of their mouth. And as they get a little bit older, they're like, actually, I want to hang on to this thing. I don't actually really want to give it up. And so they test and see what they can get away with. And they growl and they're like, no, I actually want to hang on to my bike that I got for Christmas. Stop trying to take it away from me. And that's where trouble really ensues. So one of the things that I like to do is to teach dogs to bring things to me constantly. Like, bring me your stuff. I will run away. I'll give them start with toys, start with things that they can have, and get that same excitement, like, oh my gosh, what have you got? You got a toy, bring it over here, and then bring it to me. And then we trade for another toy, or we'll trade for food, whatever floats your dog's boat. All dogs are different. Some like a stuffed toy, some like a stick, some like a bone, some like a treat, whatever it is, but you're trading constantly with something that's better than the thing that they have in their mouth.
This is fantastic advice, because what I see a lot of people advising, I'm in a lot of dog groups on Facebook. I don't comment often, but what I see is lots of people saying, you know, the dog needs to learn its place. If the dog's got something it's not allowed to have, go and take it off of it. You know, the trading action on the human's part and the owner's part is a really important thing for me, because it's something as breeders we can do prior to them actually even going home. They can learn to trade when they're 6 weeks old, 5 weeks old. So
yeah,
I practice this at home, where I don't try to take the thing, I try to add to the thing. Okay, or I'll swap the thing. They're the two ways I do it at home. So if I've got puppies, you know, they, especially when they're in a litter, if they're running around outside and there's got a whole host of toys to choose from, guaranteed one of them's going to grab something and go running around, parading around with it, and everything else is going to be like, oh my god, I want that, give me that, and they all go legging round after this one thing, right? So what I will do is I will you know, not run over and grab the puppy, but I'll go, okay, this is great, this is a natural thing, this is a circumstance, I am observing completely natural behavior at this point. And what I will do is I will either go over, if it's appropriate, I'll swap it out. If the puppy's on its own and I can treat the puppy, I will add to what, I'll put my hand in and add. So the hand motion going in means that they learn that there's an addition coming rather than a subtraction. Yeah,
right.
And I tend to teach them that in the instant. So, you know, for you guys, preventing it from happening, or at least planting the seed in the puppy's mind that if they've got something, the physicality of a hand going in doesn't need to have a response of get off, I'm gonna, you know, get off, I'm gonna have a go at you. They don't need to feel defensive about a hand going in. So the addition of things in the first instance, moving on to a swap once they've got used to the hand movement, is a thing.
I love that so much. And then the next step up is move towards me rather than run away from me. And if your hand is coming in and you're giving good stuff, why wouldn't they want to come to you? And honestly, I think that, you know, one of the first things that families have to do is they have to puppy proof their house. They know this. They've got to have an area in their house that there's nothing that the dog can really get into to endanger themselves or just trash their stuff. So if they've puppy proofed their room and somebody's left something out that shouldn't be in there, then if the dog brings it to, I feel like I'm training a retriever. Yes, you brought that to me. We shouldn't have left it out. Thank you. You're awesome. Here's your prize. Because if you do that, they will bring everything to you. You won't have a vet bill that's, you know, gigantic because they had to snarf the thing down really quickly. They could, it could be pills that are dropped. It could be, you know, a glass container of tomato sauce that they're now licking glass and tomato sauce. Like this, the opportunities are endlessly bad. Really what you want the dog to do is to come to you and ask
always for bring it to you.
Exactly. I had my dog, a quick story, my dog brought me a deer leg that she found in the woods. I mean, I didn't actually want, just full disclosure, I didn't want the deer leg, but I was really grateful. She brought me the whole deer leg and she's like, and dropped it at my feet. And she's like, now what? And I was like, you are the best dog in the entire world. Exactly. Quick, let's go and get something. To add on, while I remember, Rebecca, one of the biggest things though that I tell families, kids are never takers, they're always givers. So no matter what the thing is that they want to get from their dog, they cannot do that. That's a grown-up's job. What they can do is they can be the alarm. So they can be like, Mom, the dog's got, you know, your phone and is chewing on the phone. Then the parent goes in and deals with that situation. It's not a kid's job. Kids just bring food, they bring toys, they bring fun. They do not deal with drama. They just don't.
That is an absolutely fantastic piece of advice. Really, really cracking piece of advice, because all too often, you know, the ramifications of that are an unknown circumstance. Kid and dog in the front room, parent elsewhere. Nobody really knows what happens. Child might have been bitten.
Yeah.
Dog might have been frightened witless. Nobody, there's no adult there to see. Now, of course, we all say never, ever, 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 ever leave children and dogs unattended. We all bang on about that. But in the real world,
it's not possible.
It happens. You know, at home, children and dogs do get left alone. You know, we might not like it, we might not think it's a sensible way to carry on, but children and dogs do get left. The phone rings, you go out, you know, the microwave pings, you need
go to the loo quickly,
whatever. You know, there's a million things. The doorbell goes, whatever, you know, and in that split second that can happen. So that piece of advice particularly is really, really good. And
training that from really young, they'll know they can be involved, the kid can be involved, because they can tell you, and then you have to go and take care of it, but that's not their job. Because it really, as you're completely right, you just don't know how that's going to turn out, and the stakes are so high for the dog. They're also really, really high for the kid if the dog hurts them, but this is a life or death situation for a dog sometimes, depending on what's going on. So you can't,
it can be
for both of them. I feel like I'm under evaluating what it is for the kid. I mean, kids can get really hurt in these situations too.
Of course, but we're, you know, looking at it from we're sort of the guardians of the puppies, if you like. You know, the parents are responsible for their children, we as the breeders. And you know, I think it's one of the biggest reasons that that dogs get moved on in the early stages, in the very I'm not talking about in the adolescent phase. I'm talking about, we got this puppy and it's biting the kids, or it's, you know, we can't get stuff off of it, it's growling at us, you know, all of those kind of behaviors. I think they are the problems that I see people struggling with, you know, more than any other problem. So some of that advice is fantastic. And I think, you know, just to recap on what we've said, really, the expectation setting in the first instance about what is going to happen and what is likely to happen when you have a puppy in your house. You know, you've got a baby shark running around the front room.
Don't be surprised.
And then,
don't be surprised, and invest in your kid and dog relationship from the beginning really heavily. Keep your expectations low and your work ethic really high, because if you do that, then should you leave your kids and dog alone, and the kids know how to act, and the dog's been rewarded by the kids loads of times and always thinks they're fun, then really there isn't, you know, anywhere near as much of a chance of something desperately going wrong.
Super advice. And then, you know, getting the toys that are a lengthy toy, allowing the puppy to express his natural behaviors but in a contained manner. You know, the parameters around that children having to be an alarm instead of and the swapping and the adding rather than the taking away element of things. All really good points. So guys, I hope you've had your pens and pads out and you've been scribbling down notes. If anybody wants to know any more, then Justine has a fab website. It's thefamilydog.com. She's got several training programs, so if anybody is having these issues with an owner and children and dogs, you know, there are programs there that are designed specifically by Justine to deal with this stuff, and it's her thing. So that's what she's an expert in. So that's, you know, if anybody wants any more advice on that, honestly, she might be in America, but you can get her. She's got a website. It's all there.
And I do have, Rebecca, one of the things we should have talked about was that I have this pre-puppy program for families, and it's really inexpensive, and I'd love to offer a discount. So I'll talk with you and we'll post something below here, but I'd love to offer a discount for your breeders to be able to share it, because it helps, again, get the expectations. It's all about expectation setting, picking the right dog for your family, making sure that, you know, you're meshed rather than battling against each other and stuff like that. So, you know, they set off on the right track.
And that's it. And we're all coming from the same position, that we all want trainers, breeders, owners. We all want puppies to be happy and healthy and remain in their homes. So we all need to be linking together, you know, so that we're protecting the dogs for the future, you know, protecting them when they're in their homes and supporting them. You know, this is next level breedership. This is okay, you've bought the puppy, but I'm still here. You know, like Beverly was talking about it yesterday in the live around, you know, providing whole life care for the dogs that we breed. We'll provide whole life care, not just thank you very much. You know, there's thanks for the cash, there's the puppy, it's your problem now, which is the old way. You know, we're past that now, and it's about making sure that we've got the olive branch, we're here, the hands out, saying, look, we've got you if it's not going well. You know,
wonderful.
That's where it needs to be at. So thank you so much for joining
welcome.
us. Loads and loads and loads of positive comments. Got people saying, Ricky saying Justine's program is fab for families. As a mum of 2 with a puppy, it's full of priceless advice. Charlotte, we work so hard as breeders, super important that the work continues in their new homes. Janine, Toy Switch is brilliant. I love to teach this to my owners. Got loads of highs and hellos and lots of, you'll see when you see it after. Loads and loads of fantastic comments. So yeah, and if you've got a discount thing for them and you could drop it into the link, I'll post the live. It'll be in the announcements, and then these guys can pick up on that. That would be super.
It would be so lovely as well for all your breeders that are following you and offering this amazing service of whole life care to feel confident that they can send their puppies into a home where people know what they're doing. Because you've got to be scared as well, I would imagine.
Do you know, it causes
to put them
in a home with massive anxiety. It does. It causes massive anxiety. Sure. I even say, right, get this. One of the things that comes in my when people are going to come and visit me and they're going to come and visit the puppies, one of the things I say is, please ask yourself whether you actually need to bring your children with you the first time you come.
Yeah.
Because my puppies don't need to be exposed to super excited children that have got no off switch, that have been sat in a car for 4 hours driving up the M6 to come and see us. And the kids are like going off like a bottle of pop as soon as they come through the door. And my puppies are like, whoa. You're crazy. What are you doing? You know, because the children that I have, I've got 2 little nephews, and when they come round, they're taught to behave, you know, appropriately around the puppies. But new novice dog owners and their kids, of course they're kids. They come in, they're excited. But you know, so even setting that level of expectation, and it's a worry, you know, you give your babies to these people and you're like, oh my God, please don't cock it up.
Yeah, please
don't cock it up.
I think if I were a breeder, I would want to say, before I give you my puppy, you need to do your family needs to do a course. And not that I don't love you and I don't think you're going to give a great, you know, home to this dog, but it's like a driving test. It's like a driving test. It would be really 100%. We could make I feel like we could make a massive difference with your level of responsibility as a breeder, and then our level of responsibility as trainers to try to help people get on board with this before stuff
in advance of. Exactly. I mean, your program's tailored specifically for children. We've got the puppy pod. You know, the puppy pod deals with that's everything. It's microchipping, vaccinations, that's the whole 9 yards. But for people who are, you know, specifically taking, you know, a puppy into a family, you know, they need advice. They need to know how to deal with this, because it can be a real problem.
It needs special kind of help, because it's not just the average dog. If you go to an average sort of dog training class, they don't tackle things like this. And I think that's, again, I feel kind of bad for families, because they know that all the emphasis is on the dog to get it right. Poor dogs got this massive weight on their shoulder that they've got to be perfect. Exactly. But really, if you get family specific training, everybody knows that they actually are responsible for a part of this puzzle to make it great. And if they don't take it, then stuff's going to fall between the cracks. So and
those cracks get bigger, because once those little problems start to needle, the cracks get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and they get to the point where families are beside themselves and they don't know how to deal with it, and then dogs end up in rescue, which is,
and it should be fun. They should be able to do this and achieve their goals and get the kind of like picture of family fun dog that they wanted, without having to be painful, and without having to be mean to your dog and telling them how terrible they are and they need to get stuff out their mouth and they're not allowed to chase anything. We can do all of those things together there.
That piece around as well, around the education, you know, like we want this puppy because we want our children to grow up with a dog. We want them to learn a level of responsibility, yada yada yada. But you know, also showing the children that before they got the dog, there was a program they had to do. That's showing the children. That's what setting the children's level of expectation is. This dog that we're having is not a consumer item. It's not a click and collect.
Nope.
You know, this is not a new TV. This is not the trainers that you're going to grow out of in 6 weeks and we're going to put in the bin. This is a big serious deal for us. So I think that kind of level of education prior to the puppy coming home also has a secondary value, in that it teaches children that actually we need to be taking this puppy ownership deal real serious.
Totally.
You know,
if you do this
mum and dad are really into this, you know.
Yep. It's like it's stuffed puppy syndrome, isn't it? That sometimes I think people think that they are little stuffed puppies, and they don't do anything. They just sit around all day and they're perfect, and that's just not the reality. I mean, it is work. So, but if you go into it with your eyes fully wide open, you see it is work, but it's also tons of fun and tons of lovely, great, you know, magic moments that you can create all together. But you have to have your eyes wide open to it. That's all.
You do.
Yeah, and be prepped.
Awesome. Yay! Justine, it's been amazing. Where is he? Come on, let's see him. Justine's got a puppy. Come on.
Now I've got to wake him up.
He's got a puppy. His name is Juice. He's absolutely, I want to squeeze him, but he's a bloody long way away.
He's so tired.
Oh my God. Can we have some love in the comments for Juice, please, Juice. Everybody? Let's have some love for Juice.
Bra on.
He's got what?
His sports bra on.
Blue's definitely his colour.
I know, he's got little bluey eyes at the moment.
Oh my God, he's so absolutely adorable. Juice is getting lots of love. There's lots of little hearts floating across the screen. Loads of love for Juicy. Adorable. Listen, love, thank you. There's a Christmas turkey dinner downstairs. I'm going.
Oh yeah, get to your party, girl. Enjoy.
See you later.
Bye.
Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.